If one leases a field from another, where is it customary to cut the crops? He must cut to uproot. He must uproot to plow afterwards. He must plow all according to local practice. Just as they share the grain, so they share the stubble and the straw. And just as they share the wine, so they share the branches and the canes. And both of them provide the canes. If one leases a field from another, and it is an irrigated field or a field containing a tree, if the spring dried up or the tree was felled, he may not deduct from his rent. If he said to him, lease me this irrigated field or this field containing a tree, then if the spring dried up or the tree was cut down, he may deduct from his rent. If one leased a field from another and left it fallow, we assessed how much it was fit to yield, and he must give it to him. For so he writes to him, if I leave it fallow or do not till it, I will pay for the best. Or I will pay on the best,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, I'll pay from the best. Okay, cool. Mishna Dalet, Hamakabel Sadeh Mechaver Velo Ratza Lenakesh. Okay, so the guy receives the field as in a chakirus now. This is talking about where he's paying a fixed rental of the in terms of produce. So he's farming wheat. He says, "I'll give you 2 core of wheat at the end of the harvest for this field," and that's the deal. And the balabais comes past and sees that there are weeds growing all through the field.
Mm.
And if he's farming, he's not leaving it fallow. He's not ignoring the thing, and the wheat's growing, but also lots of weeds. And the balabai says to him, "Why aren't you weeding the field?" Amarlo, ma'ach. Sounds Israeli, right? What do you care? I'm paying you a fixed amount. You'll get your fixed amount. What difference does it make to you whether there are weeds in my field or not? Ein shomin lo. Why? We don't. That's not a good taina. Because the balasadeh can say, yeah, so great. You got to leave the field at the end of the harvest, and I'm left with a field full of weeds.
That's right.
So it's not just about the rental that he's paying. It's also about the fact that he's got to leave it in a good condition. Otherwise, it's for the next season, it's going to be harder to work. Okay. Mishnah Hey, Hamakabel Sadeh Mechaver Velo Asasa. So he received this field as an arisos. This again, this is you've got to look in the commentary to see what terms he received it on, because the previous one was a flat fee. This time we're working on a percentage. Okay. So he receives this field below asasa, and the field just didn't produce. It was a terrible crop, and it just produced like a very very small amount of produce. If there's enough produce in there to make at least a pile of produce, right? So a pile of produce, we're going to talk about the size in just a minute, but if there's enough there to make one pile of produce, then the tenant has to take care of it, even though you can see that during midway through the season that it's producing nothing. He says, "This isn't worth my time."
Yeah.
The Bala Sadeh can say to him, "Yes, it is. It's worth your time as long as there's enough to make one pile of produce. You need to work for it because I'm getting a percentage of it. You're getting a percentage of it. You cannot stop working that field because you've got to produce for me as well." Amar Rabbi Yehuda, markets for the Cree. What do you mean? How can you talk about a fixed amount for a Cree? Because that's just a pile, a pile, big pile, small pile. You got to say Ella nafila. If there's enough in there to be kadei nafila, that is shazera shepil b'zrias hasadeh. In other words, he's got to at least be able to make back the amount that he planted. So the harvest has got to be able to exceed the seed grain, and once he's exceeding the amount that he put in, then he's chayav to be metapol in it. Okay, now that's not the halacha. The halacha is like the Tanakama, and according to Reish Lakish in the Gemara, it's got to be enough to put up a pile of grain that is more than what he put out. So he kind of combines in Rabbi Yehuda's opinion that it's got to be surplus to the seed grain, and If you can make a pile in the, it's got to be enough to make a pile, and that pile has got to be bigger than the amount of the seed grain that he put into the whole field. Okay. Mishna Vav, Hamekabel Sadeh Mechavero V'Achala Chagav. So he makes the field, and once again, we've returned to the flat rental business. Okay, where he's offering a certain amount of the produce. Important, it's the produce, not a monetary amount. So he's going to get a sa'ah for the year, let's say, as a core for the year. Okay, Hamekabel Sadeh Mechavero V'Achala Chagav, and then there's a plague of locusts. Okay, or nishtafa, or there was a shidafon is a crop disease. Okay. In Makas Medina, if this is something that was a Makas Medina, it happened everywhere.
Right.
So Makas Medina means it's not his fault. It's everyone got struck down by the locusts or by the crop disease, blight. Okay. Marcus Medina, he menakelo min chakora. Then he can say, listen, sorry, I've got to take it off the amount we agreed. It doesn't. The Mishnah isn't clear about how much he can actually take off, but I guess that's something that just is based on how bad the damage is, and probably would have to be. It gives him the right to renegotiate and say, I can't pay you that amount. If Eina Makas Medina, however, if this is something that only happened to his field, like the locust dafka landed in his field and left everyone else alone, or the crop disease happened dafka in his field, now he can't complain because the Bala Sadek can say to him, listen, it's your bishmazel that made this happen. Everyone else is fine. If I'd rented to somebody else, I would have got my money. I would have got my crop. So he's still chayav for the full amount that he agreed. Rabbi Yehuda Omer im kibla himenu b'maos. Now this is Rabbi Yehuda coming in with a third way of renting. Is instead of renting for crop, if he rented for money, if it was a monetary amount and it doesn't have anything to do with the crop, ben kach or ben kach eno menakelo min chakoro, that even if there's a Makas Medina, he's still going to have to pay the monetary amount because that was what was agreed. Whereas normally, when you're doing a chakira with crop, it's based on from the crop that's in the field, and we'll see later a difference. We'll have a case where the tenant of the field had a bumper crop of excellent quality wheat. And he looks around and says, my wheat's worth more than anyone else's. So he wants to go and sell his wheat and buy some inferior grade wheat to give to the Bala Sadeh. And he's not going to be allowed to do that because the Bala Sadeh's got the dibs on what's growing in that field. Even though it's a flat amount, it's not a percentage. Okay. At any rate, back in our Mishnah, the halacha does not follow Rabbi Yehuda. It's like the Tanakama that even a Makas Medina is even enough to allow him to deduct from his monetary rental. Okay, that was 3 relatively simple Mishnayos today, so we can go back to Chazara.
It's pretty sneaky. Sell your wheat and buy the other inferior wheat, and then sell that. Wow. Okay, we have above ket. If one moves a cask from one place to another and breaks it, whether he is an unpaid shomer or a paid shomer, he must swear. Reb Eliezer says, indeed, both must swear, but I wonder whether both can swear. If one hired laborers and ordered them to work early and late, in a place where the customary not to work early or not to work late, he has no right to compel them. In a place where it is customary to give the workers food, he must give them food. To provide relish, he must provide relish. Everything must be done according to the local custom. It once happened that Rabbi Yochanan ben Metzia said to his son, go out and hire laborers for us. He went and agreed to give them food. When he came to his father, he said to them, my son, even if you prepared for them a meal like Solomon's banquet in his time, you have not discharged your duty toward them. For they are children of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and rather before they start work, go out and say to them, on condition that you have no claim upon me other than bread and beans. Now, Shimon ben Gamliel says he did not have to say it. Everything is according to the local custom. These may eat by virtue of the law of the Torah, one who works with produce attached to the ground at the time of the completion of the work, or with produce detached from the ground when its work is not yet completed, with something that grows from the ground. These do not eat. One who works with produce attached to the ground when the work is not completed, or with produce attached from the ground after its work has been completed, or with something that does not grow from the ground. Okay.
Yep. Bava Kama. Yes, Aleph.
So what did you say? I'm sorry.
Yes, Aleph. Bava Kama.
Tess Olive, right? That's what I had. I think I said Tess. Okay. Disgrace. All depends upon the status of the one who disgraced and the one who was disgraced. If one disgraces a naked person, disgraces a blind person, or disgraces a sleeping person, he is liable. However, if a sleeping person, if a sleeping person disgraced, he is exempt. I'm sorry. Let's skip the page here. If one fell off a roof and injured and disgraced, he is liable for the injury, but exempt for the disgrace, as it is said, and she stretches forth her hand and takes hold of his privy part or organs. One is not liable to disgrace unless he has intention. This is the stringency of a man over a bull, that a man pays for injury, pain, healing, loss of time, and disgrace. And he pays the value of the young, whereas the owner of the bull pays only for injury and is exempt from the value of the young. If one strikes his father or his mother but does not inflict a wound upon them, or if one wounds another on Yom Kippur, he is liable for all of them. If one wounds a Jewish bondman, he is liable for all of them except loss of time when he is his. If one wounds a Gentile slave belonging to others, he is liable for all of them. And Rabbi Yehuda says slaves have no indemnity for disgrace.
Okay. Down there.
Nazir, Daled Vav. A man may declare his son a Nazir, but a woman may not declare her son a Nazir. How are the offerings treated? If the son shaved or his relative shaved him, he protested or his relative protested. I'm sorry, he protested or his relative protested. If he had an animal set aside, the sin offering dies, the burnt offering is offered as a burnt offering, and the peace offering is offered as a peace offering, but is eaten for one day, and it does not require bread. If he had unspecified funds, they go for voluntary offerings. Specified funds, the money for the sin offering goes to the Dead Sea. One may not benefit from it, but the rules governing the use of sacred items do not apply to it. With the money for the burnt offering, they bring a burnt offering. With the rules governing the misuse of sacred items apply. With the money for the peace offering, they bring a peace offering, but is eaten for one day and it does not require bread. Now, I'm not sure. I think I might have this wrong, but I'm not sure. Didn't Hannah say to Ellie that she would bring her son as a Nazir,
Yes.
right? But this says a woman cannot do that.
So Chana is a unique situation. We're talking about she said it was a condition she made with Hashem that if he would give her a son, she would make sure that he would be a Nazir for life.
Right, right.
Okay. And I guess she must have told her husband because I guess ultimately she gave him over to Eli. Like Elkanah
Right.
saying, oh, "Where's Shmuel today?" he must have bought in.
Right. Okay, all right. Okay, we are on now Scullum, and
Hold on. Did you where did you just finish up to?
did I have another one? I didn't think so. Let me see. We finished at Zion.
Yeah, so we want Aleph as well.
One more? Okay.
Yeah.
A man can shave his head using his father's Nazir's funds, but a woman cannot shave her head using
Yes, that's right. We need Zion and we need Aleph. Go on.
Okay, all right. Her father's Nazir's funds. How is this? Someone whose father was a Nazir and had set aside unspecified funds for his Nazirus and died, and the son said, I am a Nazir on condition that I will shave with my father's funds. Rabbi Yossi said, it goes for voluntary offerings, and this one cannot shave using his father's Nazirus funds. One who is the one who shaves using his father's Nazirus funds. Someone who was a Nazir together with his father, and his father set aside unspecified funds for his Nazirus and died. This is the one who shaves using his father's Nazirus funds.
Right.
Aleph. Okay. Hey Aleph. Beis Shammai says erroneous consecration is nevertheless consecration, but Beis Hillel says it is not a consecration. How is this? If he said, the black ox that emerges from my house first shall be sacred, and the white one emerged. Beis Shammai says it is sacred. Beis Hillel says it is not sacred.
Okay. Shkalim. Okay.
Oh, Skull Aleph Hey. Though they have said they do not seize collateral from women, slaves, or minors, nevertheless, if they contributed the half shekel, page half shekel, we accept it from them. However, if a Gentile or Christian contributed, we do not accept from them. Nor do we accept from them bird offerings of Zavim, Zavos, and women after childbirth, not nor sin offerings or guilt offerings, but we accept vow offerings and gift offerings from them. This is the general rule. Whatever may be vowed or donated, we accept from them. Whatever may not be vowed or donated, we do not accept from them. And so it has been made clear by Ezra, as it is said, it is not for you and for us to build a house for our God. The following are obligated to pay a kalban. Levium, Yisraelim, proselytes, and emancipated slaves, but not Kohanim. Women slaves.
Remember what kalbon is?
Yeah, it's extra
Changing. It's a changing fee. Yeah.
But one who contributes for a Kohen, women, slave, or minor is exempt, and one who contributes for himself and for his colleague is obligated for only one kalbon. But Meir says 2 kalbonis. One who gives a seller and takes back a shekel must pay 2 kalbonis. One who contributes for a poor person, his neighbor, or his talisman is exempt from a kalbon. But if he lent the shekel to them, he is obligated to pay a kalbon. Brothers who are partners, when they are obligated to pay a kalbon, they are exempt from the animal tithe. But when they are obligated to give the animal tithe, they are exempt from the kalbon. And how much is this kalbon? A silver ma, the words of Reb Meir. But the comments say half a ma. Okay.
Machshirin.
We are on Vav Hey. These are the subcategories of water which has been issued from the eye, from the ear, from the nose, from the mouth, liquid excrement, whether a loose stool or urine, and intentionally or unintentionally. These are the subcategories of blood of slaughter of a kosher domesticated animal, of a non-domesticated animal, and of fowl, and of blood bloodletting for drinking. Whey is considered like milk, and olive water is considered like oil, since the olive water cannot emerge without oil. These are the words of Reb Shimon. Reb Meir says, even though there is no oil with it, the blood of a sheretz is like a meat and conveys tumah, but does not render food susceptible to tumah. We have nothing but else similar to it. The following convey tumah and affect hechsher. The ziva discharge of a zav, his saliva, his semen, his urine, and a quarter log of blood from a corpse, and a blood of a nida. Reb Eliezer says, semen does not affect hechsher. Reb Elazar ben Azariah says, blood of a nida does not affect hechsher. And Reb Shimon says, blood of a corpse does not affect hechsher. And if it falls on a gourd, he should scrape it off, and the gourd is tahor. The following do not convey tumah, nor do they affect hechsher: sweat, pus, and excrement, and the blood that emerges with them, and the fluids of a child born in the 8th month. Rabbi Yossi says, except for his blood, and someone who drinks the water of Tiberias, even though the excretion that emerges is clear, blood of the slaughter of a domesticated animal, of a non-domesticated animal, and a fowl that are not kosher, and blood of bloodletting for therapeutic purposes, Elazar considers these tummy. And Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar says milk of a male is tahor. Okay. Well, we're going to finish this tomorrow.
Yes, that's right. And Machshirin, we go into Zavim.
Okay, and the last one
I think we're also close to the end of Nazir, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just check. No, I'm wrong. There was another Masechta that we almost finished.
Tomorrow?
No, never mind. Okay.
Oh, I don't see that finishing anything. Well,
all right.
Okay. Okay. Oh, thank you. Okay. We have test out. If the final day of the 12th month arrived and it was not redeemed, it would become permanently his. This applies both to the buyer and to the recipient as a gift, as it says in perpetuity and perpetuity. Originally, he would hide on the final day of the 12 months so that he should become permanently his. Hillel the elder enacted that it should deposit his money in the chamber and break down the door and enter. Whenever the other one is so desires, he may come and take his money. Whatever is within the wall is treated according to the law of the houses of the walled cities, and with the exception of the fields. The mayor says even the fields and a house built into the city wall. Rabbi Yehuda says it is not treated according to the law of the house of the walled cities, and Rabbi Shimon says the outer wall is its city wall. A city whose roofs constitute its wall. I'm saying a city whose roofs constitute its wall, or one that was not surrounded by a wall from the time of Yeshua ben Nun, is not treated according to the law of the houses of walled cities. They are the houses of walled cities. These are the houses of walled cities. The courtyards consisting of 2 houses each, surrounded by a wall since the days of Yeshua ben Nun. For example, Old Katra of Tzipora and Kakra of Gush Kalav, Old Yodpas, Gamla, Gedod, Chaldid, Ono, and Yerushalayim, and the same for all that are like them.
Okay, that's
We're going to finish Arakim tomorrow.
Yeah, we finish Arachin and move on to Tamura.
So we have tomorrow and we have Zavim for tomorrow.
Yeah, that's correct.
Have a great day.
You too.
All right.
Good
Thank
day.
you so much. Thank you. Bye.